So we got this free Murray lawnmower from my neighbor. And all around, besides being just a little dirty, she is pretty clean. So I've screwed with it just a little bit so far. And the motor, in fact, is not seized. What I have realized is that our ground is extremely bad. Because no matter what, even if you jump it straight off the starter, there's no sparks or anything. So we're gonna pop this ground cable off right here, and then we're gonna clean up the ground and we're gonna try to get some fire. All right, so we had to chop our ground wire because we could not get this bolt undone. But what I did was I cleaned up our terminals here. So I'm gonna find a good spot to ground this to, and then we're gonna see if the key will turn over this mower right here. All right, so I just hooked up our battery terminals together, and now if I touch this to somewhere it has ground, like this motor there, and then I come over here and I turn this key right here, it should turn over as long as everything's okay. All right, that is a really bad sign. My next thing I'm gonna try to do is just jump it straight off of the starter terminal just to see, because the connections here could be bad. We could have just a bad key switch or anything. I just need to make sure the motor turns over good and sounds a little bit healthy, and then we can try and throw some starting fluid in there and just see if this thing has any life, to see if I even want to screw with it the rest of the way. All right, so what I got going on here is I took our negative connection and I threw it somewhere where we have a known ground. And if we look up and underneath here, we have our starter right there, that little red wire. So what we need to do is we need to take this red wire and reach in here and find our starter wire. Let's move this battery out of the way a little bit. All right, so we had to do just a little bit of moving around here. Let's zoom in on this. So if we were to touch this red wire to that starter, it should theoretically turn the motor over if everything's good to go. So yep, turns everything over. And you know, we're not even gonna check for spark or anything. We're just gonna set the key to on, which it looks like it is, and we're gonna grab some starting fluid and see if this thing pops over. All right, so I didn't have any starting fluid, but I just so happen to have some gas in a bottle. Let's see here. It should fire up as long as the motor is healthy, which to me it sounded like it was pretty good. Oh, almost. Let's put a little bit more in there and see. All right, so we got a little bit more in there, and we got the motor on choke. So if it doesn't work on choke, we'll try to unchoke it and see. All right, that's the deciding factor. I will screw with this thing some more. We'll clean the carburetor up. We'll clean up all our terminals, and we'll reset a ground, and this thing should be ready to mount. Alrighty, so now that we got this thing to actually pop off and we heard it run, that means the motor's savable, and it probably just needs a carb clean and some other adjustments. Luckily for us, it is just these two bolts right here. That one and that one to pop this carburetor off. And then it's these linkages right here, and then we can clean it, and we'll need to get an air filter. I have the air filter cage, but we're gonna try and clean it up, and then we're gonna throw some gas to it, which actually, I just checked a second ago. Very clean gas tank. You can't see in there, but there's nothing in there, which makes me think she drained the gas. But I'm not gonna try to just put some gas in there, because I just don't want to. I want to take apart this carburetor and clean it. This thing was underneath of a tarp, so I don't think it's gonna be in that bad a shape. I'm gonna check the oil. We're gonna check the oil. Well, that's not good. It's got oil in it. It says add. So I guess it's not that low. Here's our first one. We're gonna set it back here behind the camera. Now we got our second one. See how bad it is to remove these linkages. Shouldn't be half horrible. It looks like it'd be easier to take these off this way. So we're gonna just take and clip that out like that. And then here comes the long one. We're gonna pop this out of here. There we go. Now we have the carburetor, which this one, you just take off this nut right here and it just comes straight off. Just gotta take and loosen that up, and then we can take it off by hand. That's what it was on the inside of here. Doesn't look half bad, I guess. Okay, I got it off. And honestly, it's bad, but it's not like the worst I've ever seen, you know? Got some kind of sticky stuff in here. I can take it inside, and a lot of the times I like to take out the float and everything and drop it in boiling water, because this goopy stuff here, it just makes it come off easier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to slide out this pin here. I'm going to use a little Allen wrench to just push it the rest of the way through. Now we're going to set that right there. Here's our needle, which is actually incredibly clean. You see down in there. There's our needle. Overall, it's not exactly the worst carburetor I've ever seen. We need to see how many turns in this fuel screw is, so I can set it right back to where it was. We're right here, which means this side of the screwdriver would be 1. Here's a half turn. Here's 1 full turn. Here's a half turn. So that's 1.5 turns out. See, it's not wanting to go in anymore. So we're going to take this all the way out. Honestly, the carburetor's not looking horrible, which makes me feel like I could have put gas in here, but with that sludge and stuff, it probably just would not have been the best idea. See, it's very clean. So yeah. Alright, so I cleaned it up a little bit, and I was doing some looking around, and honestly, I think the last time it was off, they drained all the gas out of it, which is really good. Or ran it completely dry on gas, one or the other. But we're going to throw it all back together, and we're just going to give her a gander, because I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but that would be pretty sweet. I got to go to the gas station and get some fuel first, obviously, but we can get all this thrown back together. And now we're going to take our adjustment screw, and we're going to thread it right back into here. We're going to thread it all the way in, and then whenever we hit all the way in, we're going to bring it a turn and a half out, just like it was, which that's like main standard for any machine I've noticed over the years of working on these, is if you're trying to tune your carburetor, you could just take it, and you see we're at base setting right now, which is all the way in, not too tight, but all the way in. We're going to turn it 1 full turn and then a half turn. See, when it's all the way in, you just go till it won't go no more. Half turn, full turn, half turn. That's exactly how it was set before. So here's our carburetor. We're going to throw our air intake piece on, and then we'll meet you right back out here. Pick the carburetor up, throw that on back here. Perfect, that's in there. Alright, that's set up. I gotta go get some gas, and then we will try and fire it up. If it stays running, that's a win. If it doesn't, then I'll watch some videos and we'll tear apart the carburetor again. Alright, so we got a gallon of gas. Cost me $3.40. Talk about a complete and total rip-off. We're not gonna put the whole gallon in here, just because I don't think we need to. I think that should be plenty right there. I have it on choked. We have our liquid confidence in there. Let us oh, okay. Let's put it back on choke, because I took it off choke and then she started not wanting to live. So Looks pretty good to me. We don't have any spillage or anything, so I think we should try and give her a test drive. Goes forward. She does wheelies. Let's bring her backwards some. I want to put it right there, and then we'll try to engage the blades. All right, she's in neutral. We're gonna put our parking brake on. We're gonna rev the engine. Yep. Looks pretty solid to me. Let's see if she engages low end. Oh yeah. Thing runs healthy for sure. Key work? No. The key does not in fact work. So we'll probably have to get a key switch for it, but I mean, that is a running, driving, and cutting mower. All completely for free, friends. But I think we're actually gonna call that as a video today, fellas. I appreciate you for tuning in, and catch you next time.